Ready to go. Hot Bite with Hutton Withrow underway. The Friday edition is here. Chad, we're live at OutKick.com. Frank Isola is going to join us later this hour. Trey Wallace coming up in the show today. Let's get to the weekend, man.
Hutton, it's a great day to have a great day. It's a good day to have a good show also. Bad. And that's the attitude we bring every day to the show. Right. And excited for this one also.
And every day on the show, we're going to talk some football.
I like how we both went with sort of earth tones today with our outfit.
Odds?
And it's amazing how we have lined up so perfectly that we don't discuss wardrobe and our minds automatically.
Here we are.
Mind meld. They form the same conclusion of a similar outfit every time.
Well done. Well done. And well done by the NFL, who, no surprise, has crushed it yet again. The NFL is dominating live television. It is DVR-proof football.
Live TV is football, and football is live TV. And we have a graphic to show you to illustrate this point. This is the top 100 most watched television broadcast in the U.S. for 2023. The visualization here will show it, but for those that are sight impaired right now, I'll go ahead and tell you. It's all football. It's all football outside of one political program, outside of the Academy Awards, and outside of the Super Bowl lead-out show. That's it. Oh, sorry. You also had the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade also on this list. So what does this tell you? It tells you that football is evergreen. You can talk football any time of year and be just fine. Hutton and I started this show way back in 2011. We were fill-in hosts at the time. We weren't promised a damn thing. We weren't promised jobs. We were promised nothing. And our boss at the time had the audacity to challenge us about something we were talking about on the air, and we were fearful for a paycheck at the time. And we told the boss, who we're now great friends with and respect the hell out of that boss, and he was one of the best bosses we ever had.
For sure.
We told him, don't do that right now. If you want to offer us a contract, then you can yell at us to that extent about our content. But we're not here to play that game because as we see it right now, we are doing you a favor by doing something above our job by filling in because you don't have a show in this spot. But even young Hutton and Withrow, way back when, 2010, 2011, whenever this was, you know what we knew? We knew that football mattered. And we made a vow that day. We didn't get married that day, not that type of vow. We made a vow that we would talk about football every single damn day on the show. And that you can never go wrong talking football. And all that's happened from 2011 to now the numbers have lined up with that idea. That it is never wrong to talk football. And now we've seen this morph over the years. And the media industry changes all the time. Going back with that evergreen theme of what matters all the time and us knowing what matters all the time. Football matters all the time. Let's show that graphic one more time so all the people can see. Look at all the footballs up there. See all those footballs? All the ratings, all of what people watch. They didn't watch, I don't see a documentary about trans people trying to play women's sports on there. I don't see a Real Housewives season on there. What I see is that people, when they turn on their television, they watch live sports. Specifically, they watch football. They want to know about football. They want to be interested in football. They want to be provoked about football. We're going to do all those things right here and continue to do them. And this is justification as to why you should do that and why any media company should do that. I saw Clay Travis, our fearless leader, our president, post this out there. And I had to get this graphic and pull it for the show today to show the people that not only is football dominating television, it is television, everyone. Live TV is football. Football is live TV. If you want TV of 15, 20 years ago, go to Netflix. That is the media industry right now, summed up. It's not political programming. It's not reality shows. It's not fake clickbait BS that we talk about on this show. It's football if you go to your television to watch something live. And if not, if you want the old school television that we grew up with, that most of America grew up with, that hell, we were consuming 15 years ago when The Office was coming on. That is now on Netflix. Netflix is winning the streaming battle, and everyone is going to Netflix for old school television. New school television is football. football is live TV. And Hutton, it's what we're going to talk about every single day on the show. It's not all we're going to talk about, but that was a show mantra from the beginning. And we knew then, and we can still claim we know now. And we've been wrong about a hell of a lot of stuff. But I know I'm not wrong on this. Football matters. Football will continue to matter. Football will continue to be discussed on this show. And football is, wait for it, evergreen. It is forever. Regardless of what Mark Cuban wants to say about the hog getting fat before the slaughter, that football just keeps getting fatter and fatter and fatter. It continues to feast at the Golden Corral buffet. And we keep watching and loving it. And television is now football. And Hutton, that's what we're going to talk about on this show.
Chad, you said it all. Except for you mentioned
Show's
Netflix.
over.
You mentioned
All right,
Netflix.
everybody.
I
Good
think
job. We summed it up today.
Netflix is going to. What is Netflix going to do next? Football.
Yes.
The
Well, they already
college
do football.
football-
They have quarterback.
No. I'm saying the college football
they're gonna bring
playoff
it
is
there.
going to change the game for the collegiate landscape, the way we've seen the NFL model work on all the other networks now. Amazon, ratings up 27% on Thursday Night Football. They're averaging 12 million viewers, up from 9 million viewers from last season. And whenever you think about the subscribers and the quality of the game, the quality of the game overall is not great. Some really bad offense, awful offensive line play, terrible quarterback. Look at the quarterbacks who are currently playing in Week 18, but yet we as consumers and fans constantly watch.
I want to hit on what you're hitting at there with Netflix and what they're going to do. I don't know that they're going to have to get into live.
Well, they're already
sports
testing it, aren't they not, with the golf?
Yeah, but let me follow up with that. Netflix is doing so well right now. They don't need to move into that. They can let broadcast television or Prime or Apple TV, they can let them have some live sports. And people are always going to go to networks for sports and watch on
you'll still get that.
old school TV. I think Netflix has been so good at becoming. I think the famous quote was when they started, we're going to become HBO and better than HBO before they figure out they need to become us. And what Netflix actually did in that was they became television.
Well, but
they became television. What we defined television as before, they became. So, yeah, I mean, they could continue to do well by getting live sports on there. I'm just saying the only reason people tune in live at night or on the weekend for something, and we know this, the numbers back it up. Yeah, it's to watch a live sporting event. And that's really it now.
And keep in mind, I'm not saying for the full season. I'm talking the rights to the college football playoff games. Some of them. There will be Amazon's paying $1 billion just for the Black Friday game. They've upped their piece of the pie even more, even when the ratings were down last year compared to what Fox had the previous year before they opted out of the final season and Amazon picked up Thursday Night Football. But also, like, if you start to look around, NBA is going and they're looking at Turner and I believe HBO Max as part of a solution as to what they can do at the next level. I think Netflix is primed to be a part of the bidding war, and they're the one. And Amazon, any of these networks have the money, but they're the one that has the inventory, the space to just own what is going to be a massive contract whenever the deal is up. Not next year, not the next year after that. The 12-team playoff is going to be
selfishly
a huge moneymaker. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just one or two games.
Now,
but that will be a hit.
Let me say this about Netflix, just selfishly on Netflix. I don't think they need to do that. It's going to be very costly and expensive for them because they're doing so well. I do think, like you said, Max or Paramount Plus, which already partners with CBS and puts all their stuff there. Prime Video is a good example. I think Apple's going to get in that game, and they need to. I don't think Netflix needs that. I like to compartmentalize things also. Netflix is in such a different box that when I go there, I know I'm about to binge something. Or even with their sports department, Beckham is what I'm watching right now. I'm halfway through. I love it. I love their sports documentaries. Untold, we talked about that with Swamp Kings. They do a lot of great things. If you want to go watch The Last Dance, it lives on Netflix right now. They have the rights to it. You can go watch all 10 episodes of that on Netflix. So from a sports full swing, I mean, the list goes on and on of things that we like that's at Netflix.
Keep in mind, though,
I like those sports documentary pieces to it. I don't really want them to get into live sports for the reasons I just laid out. I like watching my sports on television, and I hope it stays there. That's the reason television right now is making money. Now, it costs a lot of money, too, and if you want to make money, you got to spend some money. But that's why people are going to TV.
So I want to know, though, like from the business concept of what they want to do, where we're headed with what could be the landscape of college sports for football. You have the branch of the haves and the have-nots, right? The super conference. If you're going to own the next major league that's not the NFL, it's that. It's the super conference. And the money isn't going to be on the linear television. Those contracts are locked up. Billions upon billions. The bidding war is going to be real, but it's going to be the streaming services. And if you have the foresight to look ahead down the road, and you know that there's going to be these programs, conferences, whatever, that do their own thing, that is by far a great business decision if you're going to be a part of the broadcast of said super conference. Again, I don't know if it's just automatic they're in, but if they know where they're headed and they can own that, that's a massive, massive win for anyone. It could be, YouTube. YouTube could get in this too, Chad. But it's, I just think who's not spending the billions? And if you are, where are you going to take it? You're going to take it to college. And it's going to be the next version of the NFL model.
It's going to be fascinating to see where that college football super conference lands. And I think where it should land is everywhere. The NFL, the reason, partially the reason of the NFL is they go everywhere. So they're getting promotion and endorsement from everyone. And it's important. Even if you lose money on the NFL with how expensive it is to get the rights to it, or you're breaking even, it's so important for every other bit of programming on that network or on that streamer to have the NFL as something that serves as that can rise the tide, and that can raise all the boats within your media organization. So that remains very important for all of these networks.
Chad, if we were about to watch Alabama and Texas, we would be promoting the fans of college football. This would be SEC against SEC. Am I wrong? Yeah. I think it would be built up as SEC against SEC, and you would hear the chants. We are getting that version of the Big Ten on Monday night with Michigan and Washington, and I just think it's the overlooked factor here of what the Big Ten has just done year after year after year with the college football playoff. Last year, Ohio State and Michigan, they're in. They could have two teams meet for the national championship. They want to get two teams in the playoff. You've got the opportunity 2 of 4. Now they've got the current number 1 team, and they have the top candidate to take over the Big Ten based on what they're doing right now in Washington. Of course, Oregon's there too. USC, UCLA. This has been a crazy year for the Big Ten and new commissioner Tony Petitti. But I think that no matter what happens, even if Michigan wins, they leave Houston as a big winner overall as a conference. Let's think about what's happened. You had the sign stealing scandal. Who stepped up and actually did something, even if it wasn't enough? The Big Ten. And you had all of the craziness with Northwestern, and you can go through the list of Minnesota. But at the end of it, the Big Ten, no matter who wins, is going to be champion because the Pac-12 ends and the new era is underway. That is a massive factor as we move forward, where it is Big Ten against the SEC. Big 12 has survived. They've done great. ACC is just trying to figure out what to do with Florida State. But the Big Ten continues to make strides. And you could potentially have a national champion that immediately the next game they'll kick off will be in your conference. And you're adding others that set up a massive viewership whenever they matched up between Washington and Oregon and what settled the reason why Washington is where they are, despite being the underdog. I think it's a great thing to point to, even if you had all of the craziness over the last 12 months. And really, it's been packed into about 8 months. And Tony Petitti, while he had to hand the trophy to Jim Harbaugh in the Big Ten championship game, he'll watch the NCAA and the college football playoff do it, and they're going to hoist a trophy too as a conference. It's not going to be the SEC. And that would have been the storyline had Texas faced Alabama again.
Big Ten as a chant just doesn't roll off the tongue like SEC.
No.
But this would be a good time for Big Ten fans to chant that
for
this national championship game and take it in, because I don't think you're going to be in many situations where there's not at least one team from the SEC playing for a national title. It hasn't happened in 6 years. 2018 was the last time, and that was Clemson winning the national title. We're going to have our first national champion. I think they beat Alabama that year also. So there was a team in that game. So to ice the SEC out of the game and to get Big Ten versus future Big Ten team is pretty impressive. And there's some heavy hitters coming into the Big Ten next year. When you look at where Washington is as a program, USC and Lincoln Riley is going to put up some points and get some good players and have some Heisman Trophy candidates or winners at quarterback. Oregon's in a great spot with Dan Lanning.
Yes.
Chip Kelly finished the season strong at UCLA and is a name as a coach. They're in great shape. And I look around the landscape, and while I think what's there with the Big 12 is okay, the ACC can't feel good about that. Their premier football program is doing everything they can to legally get out of the conference and not have to pay a penalty to leave.
Their version of Washington couldn't get in the 14 playoff.
It's a matter of time where if you are a member of Big Ten or SEC right now, you feel good. If you're anywhere else, it's a slippery slope, and you don't feel like you're on firm footing.
Yeah.
It's like watching, the person that isn't used to walking on ice or in bad conditions walk across the Walmart parking lot.
Like us.
Exactly. It's like me walking across an icy Walmart parking lot. That's Wake Forest right now. That's everyone. That's, of course, Washington State and Oregon State we know about. They're left without a home. But that's everyone else. I would throw the Big 12 in there also. You cannot feel great unless you are in the Big Ten or the SEC, because when this musical chairs game is done and the song stops, it's going to be those teams, and whoever they decide to hand a chair to, they're going to be the only ones left sitting. Everyone else is going to be out in the wild.
And I will feel great for the Pac-12 and the longtime supporters, right? You have Washington win it, all good. But there will be a victory lap. I just don't know if it'll be heard as loud as what ESPN would have made this if it were Texas.
Yeah,
especially just given the storyline and the rematch.
I also think that this is a matchup that sets itself up for good versus evil. If it was Michigan and they had won another national title recently, and the last one they won wasn't 1997, where they shared it with Nebraska, if they were some big, empire that had won 2 or 3 national titles recently, I think they'd be more of a villain right now, similar to fallout from Spygate with New England, where everybody hated them because they were winning Super Bowls at the time of that. Also, Michigan hasn't won it all yet, so it's tough to hate them to that level. But there's nothing to not like about Washington and this team and their stories and the way they play and what Michael Penix Jr. overcame. Kalen DeBoer is a bootstraps, ground-up guy that came from nothing, that doesn't have some blue blood pedigree, wasn't some NFL player.
Right.
It's a terrific story. I'm rooting for Washington for that very reason. And I think that the fact that announcers and everyone on television or shows like this can come on and say, well, Michigan – most wins in college football history, but hasn't won it in 27 years or whatever the number is now since 97. I think you can play that up a little bit and make them a little bit less of a villain. But I think it's pretty clear good versus bad in this game. And it is Washington good, Michigan bad. If you want to paint things in simple terms, and we love to do that, we love pro wrestling because it's easy to see the hero and the villain. I think Washington's the hero and Michigan is the villain. And that's nothing against those players. I'm just boiling this thing down to the basics right now with Connor Stallions, him seemingly mocking everyone that has a problem with it by sitting in great seats. The Rose Bowl, Jim Harbaugh is going to bolt for the NFL more than likely. Our guy Tim Brando said that yesterday with Dan Dockich. I'm all in on Washington in this story, and I hope they win.
Same. But I'm with you. I think Harbaugh's going to the NFL.
One thing I do want to mention, Hutton, because I didn't get a chance to talk to you about anything from the weekend. Getting here a day late. That J.J. McCarthy play on the trick play where he catches the ball and throws it and gets popped and just puts it on the money, we're not talking about that play enough. That's one of the more impressive athletic feats I've seen on a football field. We see the great catches all the time, that have become routine.
Yep.
The Ole Miss tight end, I feel like, made 7 one-handed stabs over the course of the game against Penn State, and it was just routine for him.
Seen the portal?
That's almost getting old, right? The Odell Beckham Jr. plays, we see that all the time. It's not often you see a quarterback catch a ball with that athleticism, and as he's spinning and falling to the ground, throw a dime while getting hit on a play. That was impressive to watch.
Well, the momentum swing as well for the 4th and 2. The momentum.
Oh, huge.
They had, 56 yards of total offense or something.
And it was just simply they leaked Blake Corum out of the backfield. No one picked him up.
The way that Michigan picked up the game after that play compared to what they were doing before, I don't know if I've seen a momentum swing like that on one play and one 4th and 2.
And it was either maybe the next play or 2 plays later, but that was the deflected ball that went a little higher.
Yes.
It looked like it may get picked and was a miraculous catch.
And how did that ball keep a spiral?
I don't know. You're throwing it pretty hard.
Well, yeah. I mean,
you got to hit it. Like we should get a physics professor on to tell us how that's possible. But you got to hit it with your glove at just the right spot and just the right revolution of the ball.
It's like spinning a basketball.
In order to keep it going as a spiral and just go a little bit higher than it was before.
Yeah. I mean, there were just small, notes like that were you catch yourself like, how did that just happen? Or what did we just see with the 4th and 2 and the ability to make the call, but also pick up the momentum from that spot. It was a solid game.
I remember watching the J.J. McCarthy play live, though, and you didn't even need to see the replay. I'm thinking, how in the world did he get that? Not just get it off, but the throw that he made, and it was not wide open. He had to throw it to a guy who was covered. It wasn't one of these trick plays where someone's streaking wide open down the field. He had to throw it into coverage while catching and throwing it pretty much the same time.
Is there something to be said as well, Chad, about – I don't know how to – that was not a clean game, right? But I really enjoyed it. It wasn't like this 50 – it wasn't last year's college football playoff.
No.
But I really enjoyed that game just based on the storylines of Saban and Harbaugh.
It was great.
And the gamesmanship.
Yeah, and the overtime part of it.
Yeah.
I was thinking I know they have a lot of lag time between the games, but I'm thinking if this thing goes into 4 overtimes –
well, yeah.
Will they back up the kickoff?
I think they would.
Or are they going to put it on, ABC or something in the meantime?
I think they would back it up.
College basketball season, if you're college basketball fans out there know this.
All of a sudden the lights would go out at the Superdome.
ESPN has so many rights to college basketball games, and on a Saturday, go ahead and plan on your game starting on ESPN News if you want to watch your game, because you know what I'm talking about. They line them up exactly 2 hours apart.
Yep.
So it's always going to be, you're going to have the last TV timeout with fouls.
The bottom line.
And they're going to show the score of the game, and then you're going to have to go somewhere else to watch it.
Broadcast alert.
So for someone who likes to record my team's games in college basketball and start them late, I'm usually catching the action at the under 16 timeout. Is usually when the game starts on television. You don't want to do that with a national championship game, or
no, you don't.
The college football playoff was my point.
I bet you hold them in the tunnel, so to speak. You just keep them in the locker room until a certain amount of time has surpassed after the game. As soon as the clock hits.
I think it'd be hilarious, though, just people have their phones out if they make an announcement in the stadium. Due to the Michigan-Alabama game going to a 5th overtime, we will hold up kickoff for this game that is already starting at 9:15 Eastern time.
Was halftime an hour?
And we will hold it up until 10 p.m. if we must.
I mean, that went.
I'd be pissed if I were the players or the people in the stadium if that was the case. They're holding it up for TV.
But that game went late, too.
Very late.
And the halftime, how long was halftime?
I saw it too long.
Again,
and some of these bowl games, I know we're going to get into what Kirk Herbstreit had to say.
Yeah.
It's not the bowl games that need to go, but I like Gavin DeGraw. But Gavin DeGraw playing halftime of the Citrus Bowl needs to go. And extending a Citrus Bowl halftime for eternity, that's what needs to go. There's some good pageantry, the Pop-Tarts logo, the Cheez-It logo. We love stuff like that. I don't need some A-minus list from 2003 pop singer playing at halftime, holding up the start of the second half to that extent.
It's more about the TV show and no one's going to the stadium to watch that.
But they do it just, they go back and show it on TV. It's just, that part of it's odd to me.
Yeah, and I mean, there are far too many bowl games, but it's not like I hate the fact that you have options to watch football.
I love it. I hope they don't go away. I mean, is there a way to have a better system for it to happen? Maybe. I saw our guy Barrett Sallee pose this idea of kind of a football NIT tournament where you take the second 12 in the top 25 and they could play their own tournament.
Okay.
And that would lead to a lot of interest.
Campus. Put it on campus.
Yeah, I don't know that you're wanting to play that many more games.
You'd have a lot of opt-outs.
Well, that's it was always it becomes a safety issue, right, for student athletes. The more games you add, I don't know that you're going to want to play that many more games in football for the NIT of football. But look, it's interesting. I don't squash any idea. Let's throw out ideas to make it better instead of just saying, let's just get rid of it.
Well, if it's going to bring more revenue to the universities, that's great.
Well, I'd be curious to know what Kirk Herbstreit's employer thinks about him wanting to do away with bowl games. Seems to be a pretty big source of revenue for them.
Yeah, by and large.
They built a whole 2 weeks around them having every bowl game on ESPN.
But here's the thing, though. Is that important enough, or can ESPN factor into the timetable of the portal and all the opt-outs? Because Herbstreit's right about the quality of those games.
Yeah.
I think that's the heart of the issue is we go through the entire season, and you get to December and January, and you get this product. It's a lot like looking at the third string quarterbacks right now in the league. It's just not the same value for what it was.
Yeah, and I think it's how you treat it.
It's just out of control.
We also saw different programs handle it totally different. I'll give Maryland as an example.
Okay.
Talia Tagovailoa announced today or yesterday that he's going to enter the transfer portal. He opted out of that game. I think he's been dealing with some injuries too.
Yes.
But their backup quarterback comes in there and lights up Auburn's defense, which was one of the better defenses in the SEC for a big chunk of the season. So I think it's how you – and clearly Auburn didn't care in that game from what I saw. I don't think they put a lot of effort into prepping. Hugh Freeze is even saying we put about a week and a half worth of work into that prep because we're worried about transfer portal and signing day and everything else. Now, I'm not going to sit here and cry crocodile tears for Hugh Freeze and what he's making or anyone else, because there are plenty of examples of coaches who could get their team ready to play a football game while also balancing transfer portal and signing day and everything else. I really think it's all about the approach. And I just think the more we hammer home, these games don't matter, no one cares. Every bit of media is so accessible now to kids playing the game that the more they hear that from everyone, they believe it, they don't care. Preparation is not good. More guys opt out, even guys that probably shouldn't opt out because they don't have much of a pro future. And then you're left with what Kirk Herbstreit describes as this bad product. I don't disagree with him. I saw a number of games that were absolutely bad products because of either opt-outs or a lack of care or preparation for the game. You got to figure out a way to clean that up.
How about this from Awful Announcing? You ready for this? With a quote from...
I can't wait.
From Pat McAfee.
I love a good Awful Announcing story.
They're quoting the show, of course, Pat McAfee show. Quote, there are folks actively trying to sabotage us from within ESPN. More specifically, I believe Norby Williamson is the guy attempting to sabotage our program. And there's a link to the video clip here that we were saying. I mean, how about that?
That was from Pat McAfee, too.
Yes, Pat McAfee's quote on his show, on Pat McAfee Show Live. And this is on ESPN.
I saw so he's saying Norby Williamson is trying to, what is Norby Williamson?
He's
did he leave
He's
ESPN?
Like the head of event and studio production, I think, for ESPN. How about that? I think that's the only quote right now. I want to, maybe we can pull this and play this. I mean, yeah, we can play video. Let's get this on. So we'll just credit Pat McAfee and play it like we should. I want to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, we definitely need to play that at some point in the show. I'd love to know also. I got a response on X from someone who had this, to me, was a crazy conspiracy theory about Aaron Rodgers and Jimmy Kimmel and the beef.
Okay.
And he was claiming that this is funny that McAfee says this because it actually gives this guy's conspiracy theory some credence. He said that he believes someone told Aaron Rodgers that it would be funny to say that about Jimmy Kimmel, knowing Jimmy Kimmel would get mad, all in an effort to sabotage Aaron Rodgers from within and get him off the air because they're mad at him for being anti-vax. And I'm thinking,
well, it's all
ESPN
based
would
on,
do that, and they would anger another top talent within their same company in order to just hope to get Aaron Rodgers out? And if Aaron Rodgers was told by someone at ESPN, wouldn't Aaron Rodgers be the first to tell people they told me to say that joke because he thought it was funny? I feel like Aaron Rodgers will say whatever he wants and would probably say that. Also, is Aaron Rodgers the one to take advice on what exactly to say at any point?
No.
I don't buy that theory, but the fact that Pat McAfee is saying this is crazy.
So that this is all stemming from that hit with Rodgers then. Because he's not going to say this. He's saying that they're messing with his ratings and giving out false information. To me, it all stems back to that. And you have the tie-in with what's ESPN going to do? Because they sit around and wait on Disney and ABC to react to what Rodgers is going to do.
Does ESPN
gets $1 million?
Does ESPN control his YouTube page now also?
No.
Or does he still have that?
Well, no, because that's what AJ Perez told us. He's like, he'll just continue to air on YouTube. They're not going to, take him down because they have Aaron Rodgers on. ESPN could do that, but they're not going to remove his show off of the Google YouTube platform. AJ Perez from Front Office Sports
told us that. Well, if more of this stuff starts publicly being put out there,
he could continue to. He's streaming the show live on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah. If more of this stuff starts to get out there, the more I believe that this partnership is not going to last too long. That he'll just go back to his own YouTube thing at some point. Yeah,
I mean, he's still got
He's still on game day.
Yeah, and YouTube's going to leave it. YouTube's going to leave him alone. That's AJ believed that.
Do you think ESPN would be? To me, it would be a smart move, even if this partnership dissolved, to keep him on game day and keep him on those extra, broadcast.
Well, honestly,
the McAfee cast of games. I would want that to continue, even if this didn't continue.
Right, and McAfee's going, scorched here. So I don't think this is all a big play. You want ratings to go up? He just did that.
Yeah.
We're going to be covering what ESPN's doing, right? And ESPN's also getting the boost from that through McAfee. So if you really want to boost buzz, you've got Aaron Rodgers and Jimmy Kimmel going head-to-head, and now you have Pat McAfee going head-to-head with ESPN, saying that they're actively sabotaging, Norby Williams is actively sabotaging his ratings. I mean, yeah.
Is it
and it's not YouTube doing it.
Are we in the middle of a work? McAfee loves pro wrestling.
Well,
he loves, but we know that he comes from that world too. I hear some of this and I'm thinking, is this like an Andy Kaufman bit?
No, I think this is about.
Or is he legitimately going after the head of programming at ESPN?
I don't know if you make that a bit. I mean, I don't know if Williamson is necessarily the CEO. Whatever. Vince McMahon. He's not necessarily playing the role of Vince McMahon.
He'd have to have
no chance in hell.
He'd have to have a better sense of humor than most CEOs I've met would have.
Again, we should
to be able to do
this.
that, right?
We need to be able to play this, just so we can get the context of it.
Yeah,
quite frankly,
I think we can play it later in the show.
Oh, we should play it now. Is what I'm saying. We should be actively getting this on the show. I mean, we're being sent this link. Let's do it.
All right.
Norby Williams is getting called out.
Boys, cue it up.
Yeah, let's get it going.
As one of my favorite podcasts with David Spade always says, all right, let's roll a clip. Oh, no clip? Okay, we'll keep going.
There are folks actively trying to sabotage us from within ESPN. More specifically, I believe Norby Williamson is the guy attempting to sabotage our program. Going to the leaking false information. That's what McAfee believes, apparently. Crazy. And by the way, props to Pat McAfee for having the stones to do this, because whenever he signed with ESPN, this is exactly what he said he would do.
Yeah.
And you've got a company sabotaging your numbers and your ratings. I mean, to me, that's and you've got AJ Hawk smoking a cigar in the background of this too. I mean, again, ratings aren't going to be bad for McAfee.
No, I saw it's interesting to me too, because Clay put this out last night about Mark Cuban, how he's disappointed in Mark Cuban. Here it is. He said, I had a lot of hope for Cuban because he has FU money in the past, was willing to be a unique thinker, a rebel owner even, but social media has gelded him. He doesn't make smart arguments and seems terrified of offending anyone. As he's aged, he's become a coward. I think you can say the same about Howard Stern in a number of ways.
Yeah.
I don't think that oftentimes FU money makes people more bold and courageous. I think Mark Cuban is like a lot of insanely wealthy people. They get more insanely wealthy, and they like it some more, and they want some more, and they want to keep what they already have, and they become more cautious about what they say. I don't know many insanely wealthy people that are 1,000% honest publicly with all of their thoughts at all times. Because why? Because they want to protect the insane amounts of money they already have. Those that are truly reckless and bold and courageous are the ones that don't know where their next paycheck is coming from. It's a great line from Vince Vaughn in The Breakup about his friends that he could send to your house with no future. And then it'll make things real uncomfortable. Those are the people that don't care and will say whatever. I don't think it's the insanely wealthy with quote-unquote FU money that do that often.
So
there's not a lot of people I've seen that will do that.
Chad, think about the timetable here. So McAfee apologized on behalf of Rodgers. He was saying that, Rodgers was, tongue-in-cheek making a joke.
Kind of. He just said, I hate that we're a part
Aaron Rodgers
of it.
Speak for it.
Yeah, we don't want to be a part of it. And that's what he said. He's like, Aaron's going to have to come on here, and he can say whatever he wants about it.
Right. No, he's going to come on here and say this is what he said.
Yeah.
And he's laid it out there. Well, let Rodgers come on and say that. But then the day after, maybe, you had the headline, I believe it was the New York Post, with the McAfee's not worth $85 million if he's going to produce these headaches for ESPN. I mean, that's exactly what he was hired to do. That was the whole storyline, quite frankly, was ESPN was moving into that lane. So if you want to stir up some drama, they've got it. And now it's more than just how they're going to react to Rodgers based on this, who McAfee was apparently paying, what, $1 million? $1 million a year?
Yeah.
To join his show. Looks like, and by the way, AJ Perez also said this with us yesterday. He said, hey, don't be surprised if ESPN pulls Aaron Rodgers from the show, that McAfee would continue to stream live on YouTube with Rodgers for that segment, and that ESPN would have to cut away to alternative programming because YouTube would have it live, and that's where the numbers would be going.
Wow.
AJ said that yesterday. That as a theory.
I can't wait. I know we're working on the clip, and we can play it after a break. I can't wait to play this and find out exactly what was said, because I need to know the context and how McAfee is. This to me is 100%. We have it now?
We'll go to it in just a moment.
Okay.
When we come back.